On my kids.
Tell your
1 minute
kids.
warning.
Tell your kids. Go
They
ahead.
pop on.
Here we go. We're on.
There we go.
We're on. Pretty good music, too, today.
She puts her boots on my dash, and that's okay.
Is that cool?
When she's out with
That
her friend, she wants me
I bet you do.
That's just the way
I'll let it play for a minute. You don't mind, do you?
It
Go
ain't
ahead.
gonna change. It's a girl thing.
I love it. It's a girl fan.
She's always in a hurry, but she's always late. She says it's not a problem. God made her that way.
Oh, yeah.
It's just true.
Ah, little music. It Skip Happens. Welcome to it. It's one of those nights. We've been kind of shooting the breeze with the mics off a little bit. That's why we're a little bit late tonight. But it's me, Skip Clark, Deb Lamphere from the Country Music Fan Club here in Syracuse. And also, I have the one and only, man, he's like, for me, it's so awesome to have him sitting here. Lonnie Park is in the studio here with us tonight, and his beautiful wife, Jody. And welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
You don't mind if I can play this a little bit longer.
No, go for it. We're in no hurry.
She's always on a diet.
I love this, man. I don't understand why we're not playing this stuff on the radio right now.
Got me.
No, but it's
Gonna need to
Lonnie
work on
Park.
that.
You know, honestly,
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest mysteries of the independent music scene is
it is.
how to get your stuff played. But I also understand the other side. You know, radio stations struggle. They can't play everybody's stuff.
Well, it depends on the radio station,
Stuff. Right.
if you know what I mean.
Right.
See, a lot of the radio stations nowadays, we know we have the big corporate radio, and then you have your local
Right.
owners, which I'm in that situation working for a local owner now, and we can pretty much pick a lot of the music that we play. Yes, we have to play the big stars, the big hits. You get
course.
that, but
That's why people are listening, right?
yeah, exactly. But we also have the flexibility of saying, I like this guy. I think I'm going to play this and see how our listeners react.
Right.
You don't get that with the bigger guys.
That's absolutely true.
It's Lonnie Park, everybody. Wow, this is so cool. A Sammy Award a couple of years ago here in Syracuse.
Yes, sir.
That was you did you know that, Deb?
I did not. Sorry. I know now tonight. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
I told Deb to do her homework.
I did a little bit. It was kind of a crazy day today.
That's all good.
So,
Tell me about Lonnie Park. I know you've been doing this a long time, and I know a lot about you, but our viewers or somebody checks this out maybe at another time because it's going to be on the web forever and ever.
So I should be very careful.
Yeah, I know, but you've been writing. You're a producer. Let's see you're also an author, right? So tell me about all that.
I think
Where do
the
we start?
credentials were a mile long when I was looking at your website.
And what
Like
amazes
all the way
me
front
is
of the page. Yeah.
is you're from this area,
Yeah. Freeville, New York.
Freeville. That's near?
It's in between Cortland and Ithaca.
Okay, that's beautiful. I love Ithaca's like gorgeous.
Is it
And you
near
have-
Berkshire at all?
Berkshire's not far away.
Close.
Yeah.
Okay. My dad has a cabin out there, so
Oh yeah, little hunting cabin.
little hunting cabin
Right
with about
on.
50 acres, but
Ooh.
it's a beautiful.
Could I have
place.
his number?
Tyoff
Yes.
What's
Connect
the
with you
river?
after. What's that?
What's the river down? Tyoff Neoga?
Tyoff Yoga.
Did I say that right? Tyoff Neoga?
Oh,
You speak almost like an Indian. Well done.
Well, you got lucky on that one because normally I can't even say that. But wow, so that Ithaca's gorgeous with the gorgeous,
Absolutely.
gorgeous. If you know what I mean.
They
So
should make T-shirts out of that.
they should.
I think they do.
Did you write a song about Ithaca?
Actually,
There you
I
go.
should.
Yeah, you should. And you've got if somebody wants to check this out on YouTube, we'll put the links underneath this video when we're done. But I want you all to check out Lonnie Park and understand that this guy is the real deal. And he's the real deal in a lot of different perspectives because not only doing your own thing, you have your own band, right? 10-man push.
Yep.
Okay, so you have your own band. You help out a lot of independent artists.
Yes, I do.
And one of those we had in here just maybe a month or two ago, John Regalia,
Yep.
who is nominated for a Sammy. And and he hasn't been playing all that long, but I think with your guidance really set him in the right direction.
You know, I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot of things, but
Yeah.
If only I had someone with experience that gave me some fast tracks when I was early in my career, I know I could have done, way more, especially early on. So in addition to all the things that I'm doing when I'm in between touring and making records and all that, I try to work with artists who I can do that for. And John Regalia was one of those guys that kind of bubbled to the top, and he was just starting out, and he was writing his own songs, and he's a really, really cool guy. And so
I got that impression from him. He's just easygoing. and
it's just
a
he's
great
the
guy.
real deal. Just a real good person to start with, which is kind of the criteria that you start with.
From scratch.
Yeah.
So it's like training a dog. When you get a puppy, you start from scratch. If you get something, a dog that's already trained, it's kind of tough to make them change.
And he didn't have any bad habits like I had to shake and so many other things. And he was eager and talented, like just when kind of like watching an athlete and you see them, maybe you're a college scout and you see somebody and you go, wow, that guy's actually got something. If we could just.
So where did you find him? How did you connect?
At her sister's birthday party, actually. And
was he singing there?
No, his brother was there, and his brother came up to me and said, hey, man, I hear you're doing some producing. Would you listen to my brother? I'm like, sure. So he sent his brother to me, and it was John.
Yeah.
And John played me some of his ideas and some of his songs that he had started, and I listened to what he had, and he had all the ingredients to do it right.
You knew that. You're like, wow, okay, if we could only put all this together, this guy might have something.
Yeah. And he's like, it was such a quick study, and he's doing so well, and he's like, faster. He's become an amazing songwriter just in a year.
You know, I got to say, he's amazing at marketing himself as well.
Yes.
I see him on Facebook. I see him, all over the web. He's doing the right thing when it comes to that.
He is.
And getting out there, too.
And, there's a few guys that I've worked with over time, and there are people that when they say, what do I need to do? And I go, based on my experience, you need to do these 3 things. And it's just my best guess. It's a crazy business we're in. But if you do these 3 things, I know something will happen. It will lead to something. And there's been a few guys that have just actually done that. And it really surprised me.
It worked out well. Yeah. Your advice worked.
Yeah. And a couple of them are in Nashville right now. And
cool
John's another one of those that he's doing really well. I'm really
proud. You're talking about Nashville and John. I think John is there while we're there. And in just a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And I think
we're all going to kind of overlap when we're down there. So
well, we really, we'll have to exchange numbers, but we'll have to definitely hook up.
Absolutely.
It'll be a good time. It's the country radio seminar that's coming up. So anybody that's got anything to do with music, from the artists to the labels to the promoters to, just us radio people, that everybody's going to be there. So it's really cool. And it's great for networking, especially, and I'm sure a lot of people will know you, and you'll know a lot of people. So kind of works both ways. So tell me about, what you have done. I mean, I'm looking at, great songs,
Thanks.
I like this one, Love Can Make You Dumb.
Yeah.
Right? This is it?
Yeah.
It's Lonnie Park. Listen.
I haven't heard this one in a while.
It's like this, you see. I lost my mind when you looked at me. I fell hard for
How cool is that? Listen to the voice. That's the guy sitting to my left. You're right if you're watching your monitor right now.
This is off that record that won a Sammy. Which is cool.
Nice.
And that first song, actually, that you played, Girl Thing, was the first song I've ever recorded that I didn't write.
Really?
Yep. I was in Los Angeles, and these people I was working with in LA said, you need to meet this guy. I used to work for Warner Brothers, so I met with him. We hung out, and we were in the recording studio doing a song, actually, that I co-wrote with Bernie Taupin, which is another crazy story.
Wait, Bernie Taupin?
Yeah, Elton John, Bernie Taupin guy.
Are you kidding me?
No.
No, I know you wouldn't be kidding me.
No.
Holy cow.
So I was working on that with him, and this other guy from Warner Brothers, formerly Warner Brothers, came in, and we were hanging out, and he's like, a friend of mine wrote a song that you need to record. Okay. And it was Stephen Allen Davis. He was in Nashville. Stephen Allen Davis is a songwriter whose first hit was in 1969. He's just a really cool guy. He's become a great friend now. But through that, I got to meet Stephen Allen Davis, who's got 19 number 1 hit songs.
Yeah.
And, it's just crazy. So that's how that song ended up on my record.
That is very cool. What a great story. It's another one. I love this song of yours.
Oh, yeah.
Make your mama proud.
Yeah.
Pick your head up, boy. I know you got this.
I listened to that about 4 times before I came over. You sound a little bit like Phil Vassar. Has anybody ever said that to you?
No, but I'll take that.
I love Phil. Oh my God, I see him every time I get a chance, and I heard that song, and I totally.
Well, it might be because the piano.
Must, but the voice, I don't know. It just gave me that feeling. It was just a really cool, very relaxed. I love the song anyway, but
see, it's songs like that amaze me. That you're still you're right here sitting at this table. That is so much talent, and it's got so much emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So that song is mostly true. Mostly true. Until the end when I kill my mother off. She's still doing just fine.
Well, a lot of songs do come out of personal experiences. So
They do.
But-
Some of the best.
it definitely is relatable.
Yeah. You mentioned he sounds a lot like Phil Vassar, and I get that with the piano and stuff, but I don't know if artists really want to be told, and I don't mean this in a bad way,
just
but you sound like George Strait, or you sound, you are your
you
own
look
person.
like Keith Urban. We hear that everywhere.
I
we
do
go.
see a little
Yeah,
resemblance
now that
too.
you mention it, can
Yes.
you talk like him?
Happened on the way back
No.
from LA.
No.
Really?
See? Yeah.
Are
That's
you
amazing.
okay with that? Are you okay
I'm
if
fine,
somebody
yeah.
says you look like someone or sound
Or
like
s-
someone?
absolutely.
Because
All
I
right.
know people want their own.
I know, but I'm going to
I'm
do
only
what you
one
did. I
person.
think he sounds a little bit like Andy Griggs.
Oh, wow.
So,
If you
but you're
naming
still
really talented
unique.
people, I'm
No,
great with it.
I know that's fine. I get it, but you're unique. You're Lonnie Park.
Yes.
You do your own music. You write your own music. You have your own style.
Yes.
There might be certain things that might sound similar
yeah.
to another artist,
Right.
but
But on a whole,
everybody has that.
Yes.
But on a whole, you are unique and you're awesome. So.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about, you've been doing this a long time. You were at the Grammys just recently.
Yep.
Tell me about that experience and why were you at the Grammys?
That, everything in this business, everything leads to something.
Right.
And unlike almost any other career, you point yourself in a direction, but you're never going to land in that direction. The business just pulls you left and right. And an album that I had recorded with a guy from Singapore, who has also become a great friend since.
Wow.
We recorded this record. We finished it. It was delivered. Everything was cool. And a year later, I'd all but forgotten about doing it. And anyway, this guy gets a hold of me and he says, "Hey, man, remember this record we did a year ago?" I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "Well, it was nominated for a Grammy." I'm like, "Well, that's a game changer right
that is
there."
a game changer.
Yeah, I know.
And how did that happen?
Yeah. And he actually, his next question was, "Do you want to go to the Grammys?" And I'm like, "Well, that's one of the dumbest questions I've ever heard." And at the time, I was in a wheelchair because I had all these herniated disc problems.
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that. So it gave me motivation to get out of the wheelchair and
Awesome.
get there. So I made it. And at the Grammys, I discovered that there's this community of people that are all Recording Academy members. And there's all these like-minded people, and you get in the same room with them and you talk with them, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, I want to check out what you're doing. So you check out this guy's music, and then you send them an email and go, "Man, I love what you're doing." And he goes, "I love what you're doing. Let's work together." So based on that very first year at the Recording Academy, I forged a bunch of friendships with people that I've ended up working with, including Ricky Cage, who's ended up being a Grammy winner.
Right.
And we collaborate almost on a daily basis now. And that's what has been taking me a lot of times overseas. So it's just expanded. So every year since then, because it's almost like a trade show for musicians, and it, quite frankly, weeds out a lot of people, and you only have real, true career professionals in the room.
Wow.
I go every year. And of course, I get to take Cinderella to the ball. And
Absolutely.
she gets to walk the red carpet, and
I make it a
Get
whole
all
different
dressed up.
experience.
But that's awesome. You get to go with them on some of these trips.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the first hooks of us dating. He was like, "Hey, so if we're gonna hang out,
I'll take you around the world.
We're gonna go to the Grammys." Oh, okay.
Okay, well, that's a tough decision. Geez, I don't know. Let me see if my calendar's free.
They really are.
Let's see if I have an open date.
Some amazing people.
Really?
We've actually forged a ton of personal friendships from some of these amazingly talented people from around the world. And in fact, when we got married in 2018, we had folks from all over the world that came in for our wedding. India, South Africa, Hawaii, Vancouver. I mean, it was amazing. And they're personal friends, not just because of the music industry. These are people that are beautiful souls, and we love the culture and this new vision of world that we have now because of them. It's really
that's one of
amazing.
the things we were talking about on a previous podcast. People in this industry, when you get to know them, they're real people. They're genuine
Absolutely.
people. They're sincere people out there. And the world doesn't always see that side. They're just seeing the person that's on the stage doing their fancy dancing. And when you get to the other side and you really get to know someone, you see how genuine they really are.
Absolutely. And we were blessed, so blessed that one of our friends from South Africa, one of the world's most renowned flautists, played the flute for our wedding song, and it's absolutely beautiful. He's also a Grammy winner. I mean, he's just amazing. It's
pretty
we're
cool.
very lucky.
When a guy flies from South Africa to play flute in your backyard.
And they traveled.
Yeah, I know.
What, they traveled like 30 hours.
Oh my gosh.
To come to the wedding.
Yeah.
Was the wedding here?
Yes.
In
That
New
was
York?
on our property. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
That is an honor.
But it goes to show somebody where you are at this point in your career, you've made connections, you've made friends, and all that helps you grow even more. You know, I mean, you're talking about Bernie Taupin, you're talking about some pretty big names here with the Grammys and so on and so forth, and here you are sitting right here. I mean, that's amazing. It's amazing.
At the same time, right here in our hometown, we have equally the talent.
We do.
Wonderful people here as well.
A lot of people don't realize the caliber of talent that we have here.
It's amazing.
And it's amazing because they have individuals like you that will help them. And I'll go back to John Regalia, which I'm just totally blown away with. And that's because of what you've done. And I'll tell you, when I had him, he was sitting right there. He couldn't speak highly of you. I mean, he was just all about you, man. He was just like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Lonnie Park.
That's very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Working with
and I said, I got to get Lonnie in here. I want to talk to Lonnie.
That's great.
Because I think the last time we saw each other was at the Sammys a couple of years ago. So,
and of course, I've known of you for because
I'm the old man on the radio.
You're a rock star around this area.
But oh my God, we won't talk about that. It's been a long time.
It's great though.
But no, it is great. But I've always been on the broadcasting side. But I've always had I always wanted to promote local talent. These people give up a lot. I know local musicians that have given up their 401k to go to Nashville and record an album because that's what they want to do. Right. And they want to have the best musicians on their album. They want, one guy I know wanted Reba McEntire's steel player. Went and got him. I know
exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
He's amazing.
So, he's amazing.
And
you
can see him like 3 times a week in Nashville when he's not touring.
Yeah. Exactly.
Older guys,
exactly.
Cool guy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So it's amazing what these musicians do in hopes of, they're doing what they love. I think if you do what you love, it doesn't matter, I guess, as long as you're happy.
Absolutely true.
That's why they never retire.
No, we never retire because we got bills to pay.
No, you do. You see artists that are, 70 years old and
never retire.
They're still on stage, but
they say they're going to retire, and then they're like, "Oh, we're back."
Do you know who Peter Yarrow is?
Yes.
From Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yep.
So I produced and co-wrote a song with him, and we were in the studio in New York City, and just, in between takes or whatever, and we're sitting there talking. I saw that he was playing in like 2 days, and he was going on the road for a little while. And I should be careful what I say because Peter might see this, but
I hope he does.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
He's one of the nicest people on the planet.
I've heard that.
But he's got to be close to 80 years old.
Yeah.
And I said to him, when are you going to retire, Pete? And he looked at me like I had 3 heads.
Like, no way.
And he said, "What's wrong with you, man?" Like, what do you mean? And I had offended him, essentially. Mm-hmm. He said, people work their entire lives dreaming of doing what we do. And when they retire, they finally get to do what we do, and they do it till they die. We get to just do it till we die. And it just completely changed my perspective. And so, when we're talking about retirement planning and all that, like, you can plan on retiring someday, but apparently I'm never going to retire.
I will retire.
You're retiring because you're going to get to travel even more. Correct. So. Yes, correct. So you won't be retiring.
Talk about traveling. I think it was just a couple of weeks ago we were talking on Facebook or something. It's like, I'm heading to India or whatever. I'm going, what? Jesus.
So you both travel a lot, though, because you said you're
Yes.
traveling a lot, too. So
my job takes me every week.
So how often are you meeting at the same place that you get to see each other?
Tonight worked out.
Tonight worked out.
Well, he picked her up at the airport, and then before they drove back.
Sometimes she picks me up at the airport. Sometimes we fly together.
There you go.
Nice.
And we're only half a mile from the airport, so this is all convenient.
I know.
So, So it's kind of cool. It's Lonnie Park that's joining us here on Skip Happens tonight. Lonnie, a well-known author, producer, singer, songwriter. The list just goes on and on. But living right here in Central New York, which is really cool. And he's been working with the best. I mean, plus, how often do you get out with your own band? Are you still doing the 10-man push
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
Yep.
And I love those guys. They're like brothers. Because of all that all of us are doing, if I'm in town and I go to book a gig, the bass player might be on tour. And if the bass player's in town and I'm in town, John, the other guitar player,
So it's a matter of getting everybody together, and it's rather difficult.
Super talented people, all with their own careers at their own right. And because we're all going different directions, it's hard to get everybody together. But when we do, it is a pleasure.
Where do you usually play? Out where you live, or more out in Syracuse area?
No, more like Ithaca, Cortland,
Southern
festivals in that area.
Yeah. Talking about festivals, have you been involved with some pretty big ones? Have you been on the big stage?
Not in New York, but
no?
we just played a couple.
Talk to me.
We played a couple. So I played one in a town called Vizag. The long title is Vishakhapatnam in India.
Oh, okay. I'm going.
It's in India.
I don't think it's on Google Maps.
No,
So.
but it's actually a giant city.
Yeah.
It really is. And,
Okay.
And it's a coastal city, so it's right on the beach, and there's this giant beach festival.
That sounds so cool.
I was told we're playing this beach festival, and so I flew in. You know, the guy with the card at the airport takes me to the car, throws my stuff in the car. We drive to the hotel. I try to shake off some jet lag. They drive us backstage. I get out. They cue us that we're about to go on. I put in my in-ears. I walk out on stage. It's a giant stage. Oops, sorry. And there's a bunch of people. And of course, we've played some pretty big festivals, but I'm going, there's probably 20,000 people right there in front of me, I'm guessing. It's a pretty good crowd. And we had a great show. It was one of those, for whatever reason, everything clicked and it was on. Got off stage, get back in the car, back to the hotel, over to the airport, fly home.
Oh my
God. I got home and the promoter emailed us and he said, great job. It was a huge success and everything. He said, by the way, I'm not sure if you realize it, but there were 88,000 people at your show.
Wow.
That's awesome.
There's a record.
Yeah. How does that make you feel, though?
Nervous after the effect.
Good right. You didn't know going into it.
Yeah. But when you walk out and you see thousands and you thought maybe 20,000, but still that's got to be a high in itself. That's got to be like, this is going to be so cool. But then at the same time, you're probably scared shitless. You know what I mean?
It's funny. So it's a weird thing that happens.
It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. You still get those feelings.
That Make Your Mama Proud song you were talking about, that song is about stage fright. I've had it since I was a kid. And for whatever reason, sometimes it's just gone. And usually it's in front of a huge crowd that I don't know anybody. So like 88,000 people and I don't know any of them.
I can relate.
No nerves at all.
So if you mess up, no one will.
And it's much smaller. I can relate, but obviously on a much smaller level. But when I go and do a radio gig and I step out on stage and I don't know anybody and I'm going to introduce the act, the minute that mic opens up and I say my first word, I'm like, cool, this is cool. I don't know anybody. I can say what I want. And I get the crowd pumped. But if I walk out there and I see, oh, there's shit, I got it.
There's
okay.
Lonnie,
Now,
Jody,
I know. There's Deb. So
I'm the same way.
It's like, okay, I got to make sure I say the right thing. Yeah, but it's a weird feeling.
Yep. And you try to overcome it, in your mind. You're like, well, I know these people. Why am I nervous? And it's a small crowd. Like, why am I nervous with only, 20 people?
Well, I've talked to my doctor about that. Seriously, I have. Yeah, I mean, you
have some insight that would actually be helpful.
Lexapro.
All right.
And that's how. No, I'm not afraid to say it. But for me, it works well. I'm not promoting any of this, but when I told my doctor what I did for a living and what I do and how often I'm out in front of a crowd and I get like really nervous and the sweat and all that, he says, you know what? This is what we're going to do. I want you to relax a little bit. I'm going to help you relax. And I ended up, I'm not afraid to say it. I take a Lexapro every day. My wife hates it because sometimes she's like, you just don't care about anything, do you?
That's a good thing.
That's what I tell her. Good, she goes, she could be all uptight about something or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
You're all relaxed.
Yeah, you know what? We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
I think it comes down to the people that you know and that you respect their opinion and you want their opinion of you to be high. Like I go through the same thing. If I'm giving a presentation to a bunch of prospects, it's completely different than if I'm presenting in front of my coworkers.
Because you are the professional.
Their opinion means a lot.
Yeah, you're right.
Greater,
you're right.
And also, if I screw up, they're going to know it.
Right. Lonnie, you sucked the other night. Just saying, man. I don't know what the hell was wrong with you up there on the stage, but damn, you were like, you know. But that's what your friends would do, you know. But if they don't know you, it's like, who's that guy? Whatever. But you know, you don't worry about it. But it's when you know families there, like when I do, you know, different weddings and things like that. And if I know somebody there, I'm a wreck. If I don't know anybody, I'm absolutely fine.
I think it's that approval factor, right?
I think Jody. I think you're absolutely right. That was very well said. Almost perfect.
So I have a quick question. When you were in front of the 88,000 person crowd, was it your full band that was with you, or did you?
That was with Ricky Cage, who's the guy from India that's a Grammy winner, and we have a full band of amazing musicians that come from all over the place.
And you just meet there and play together.
They are everybody on that stage is at such a high caliber. We don't rehearse. We've never.
I was just going
rehearsed.
to ask you. You
We get together. Of course, this is music that, like Ricky and I have written. So if I don't know it, I'm in trouble because I wrote it. And of course, Ricky's got his parts. But the musicians that he surrounds us with are such world class that they already just, when they hit the stage, they know it. So we have like a little hotel room get together, and everybody good. Like anybody got questions about keys or timings or turns around, and when we hit the stage, everybody's just spot on.
It's professional.
And you have a whole
set,
like who designs your set list?
Ricky usually is in charge of that, yeah.
I'm just curious.
He's the main artist. And
you ever go kind of, that song's supposed to be fourth? What's it up there? You know.
Oh, that happens.
Your set list.
That happens.
Can we move number 4 up to number 2?
You got to do that quite often. And a lot of that's reading your crowd and what's the energy of the crowd and your timings between songs and your arrangement of songs. Sometimes, you know, you see that the energy's high, and if you play that next song on the set list, you're going to kill your show. So either you jump it or you move it.
So that's what's going on when the artists are on stage, and all of a sudden there's a break, and you see the lead person going back talking to the band. They're probably saying, "We're not playing that song. We got to keep the beat up. Let's skip."
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
Sometimes their mics are on, and we go, "We can hear you."
So you actually have to be careful.
Turn the front end down.
All those little ins and outs. I love that background stuff.
Yeah.
See, Deb, who's sitting on my right, your left, if you're looking at the screen, is the president of the Country Music Fan Club. And her job is to bring artists like you and other Nashville artists to put them in front of the listeners, the fans, and give them that opportunity to meet the artist and see what they're about. Because just like you're here. I put you in that same caliber because, I mean, listening to your music is just like, all right, this is big time. You know, you can just tell the way it's produced, the vocals, everything is tight, very tight. But Deb's job, and one of the reasons she goes to the country radio seminar, is to network with all these other artists as well, and to get them to come to Syracuse, and also people like you, get everybody in a room or whatever, so they get that opportunity to, you know, that you normally wouldn't get. That's what she's got, a passion and a dedication for country. Pretty much
we
all
need more
different
people like you.
Yeah, exactly.
I love doing it. We launched basically this past year, and we had 3, I call them showcase events. We ended up having quite an amazing turnout, to my surprise. So we just had such a good time. And I have people now that are like, when's your next event? When's your next gig? Whatever. I said, well, probably when the weather breaks, because we can't really take a chance of.
Which is when?
People. Yeah. Hey, this has been a great winter so far. Weekend. So hopefully, you know, around April we'll start again. So we'll definitely be in touch. But we have such a good time.
We do. And
bringing the artists in, and it's that taste of Nashville that comes to them, and bringing them into a different environment, and the artists tell their stories. It's just a really cool setting. So, sorry, go ahead.
So what she has to offer is something very unique. Nobody has done it in this area, and it's been her dream all her life. And, you know.
So now I'm retiring.
Don't give
up. This is my retirement, and this is what I'll be doing till I die.
Exactly. How do you get your gigs? Do you go out and get them yourself, or do you have a promoter? Do you have somebody that represents you?
It depends on the act. I don't have personally, I don't have any promoters that
pretty much do it yourself.
Yeah. Or whatever act, you know, like 10-Man Push, there's usually John, the other principal in the band. either he's booking it or I'm booking it, or we book together. Working with an agent is tricky because, especially with somebody who's busy with multiple things, to do it right, you really need to hand your calendar to them and just go, book me. And otherwise you're kind of tying their hands behind their back when they go, hey, I got one. And you're like, well, I can't play it. Sorry.
Right.
How do you know a good promoter from a bad one?
This is
I know. I just, I read a lot. I see a lot. We have a lot of great local talent, but I feel that they're not getting the right exposure. Right. I don't feel they're making the right money. But they need to have the right person represent them.
I agree. And sometimes that person is yourself. In most cases, it's yourself. There are some really good talent agencies, and Syracuse has some really good
and I
stuff
do know
as
a
well.
couple. Yes.
Without naming names, there's a couple that are great.
Right.
Because if I name them, then somebody else is going to be like, wait a minute, I wasn't on the list.
But no, you're right.
I mean, there's some really world-class booking agents right here in Syracuse. But at the same time, there's things that other ones will do where you're actually shooting yourself in the foot a little bit. So you got to just be careful. What I would say is any new artist, explore it yourself. What you don't want to do is especially at a local level, you don't want to come in and also tick off the entire music community because you're undercutting everybody around you.
Right.
You want to be on the same level. If you're charging $10 for a service and everybody else is charging $100, the venue is going to go to all those $100 people to try to push them to that $10.
It's not fair.
I can get a quality act for $10. So you got to make sure you're
right.
That's one thing an agent can do for you. The other thing is just make sure you ask around anybody that's worked with them, and they'll tell you. If they're great, you'll find out really quick. And if they're somebody you should steer away from, you'll find out pretty quick.
Yeah, there's some of those around, and there's some of the other. So we all know,
like
we know a lot of
right?
different, anybody in this business would know, and that's crazy.
So for yourself, so if somebody wanted to book you, they'd contact you directly?
Just hit me up.
Really?
Yep.
And you don't mind that?
I'm easy to find. No.
Well, I was just wondering because there's artists out there that probably don't want to handle that administrative stuff, so to speak. Whereas I'm like a control freak, so I would want to handle all my own things.
No, I don't mind at all.
That's good.
I think she knows me. But.
Okay, just
I'm happy to speak directly with anyone.
Well, I think that also comes back to the schedule. Like there's so much in the travel schedule that it would make it hard for someone to manage his calendar unless he's directly involved.
Right, because he's off doing so many different things.
An example, one of the tricky things when you're booking and you're doing a bunch of things is if I accept one gig and then I get the call from Ricky, we got another one of those festivals.
Right.
What do I do about, I have to honor this gig that I booked.
Right.
And I might be, which just happened to me. I passed up a huge festival in Vietnam, which was.
Vietnam?
Yeah.
I got to turn this music down. You said Vietnam?
Yeah. I missed a show in Vietnam. That's no
overnight flight. I'm just saying.
I was already over in Asia.
Oh, okay.
So it would have just been one hop back. But I had committed to a local gig here. And I'm good to my word. If I tell you I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be somewhere. So I passed up a whole lot of money.
Wow. But you wouldn't think to reschedule that, though? Don't you think that somebody would work with you and say, hey?
They probably would. But I've also experienced situations where they don't work with you. As a matter of fact, it really burns the bridge. And, in the past, we're talking, 10 years ago, but there were a couple instances where some tour opportunities came up and we went to the venue and they were not as understanding as we thought they might be. And we're never booked back there locally again. And so, I don't want to burn any bridges. So I might overcompensate and take the hit myself, but I do have the conversation after the effect and say, hey, by the way, here's the stage I should be on tonight.
Yeah.
But I'm here for you because I committed to you.
And my wife is very sad that she is not in Vietnam.
Well, you've seen a lot of places, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity.
Music's powerful, man.
It is.
Really,
it's
I never
powerful in a lot of different ways. Yeah. So, what do you like doing best? Do you like to?
God, I was just going to ask that question.
Do you like to write? Do you like to sing? Do you like to just play an instrument? I mean, you probably all of it, right? But what do you like to do best?
I think I can answer the question. I love it all. See that?
Okay.
So that's part of the problem.
And I get that. I understand that. But I didn't know if you would, like, you know what? I just want to write. I love writing. Or, you know what? I feel I'm a great vocalist. And you are. That I just want to be, I'd rather sing. Or maybe I just want to play my keyboard.
Or
I want to pick up a
get
sixth
bored
string.
just doing one thing. I think I'd just
Okay. All right.
be bored. But,
No, I get it.
every day I wake up. The studio is a wing off of our house. So, there's this big soundproof wall in between our house, our world, and this recording world. And every day I get up and I get my coffee and I go in and I never know what I'm going to be working on that day. Like an example today, I worked on, what was the first thing? A new age piece. And then I did a jazz piece, which was awesome with these guys from Washington. And
all right, I was going to
Singapore.
ask. So you have people in.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're on the tail end of this
Okay.
killer jazz record. It's so cool. I'm psyched about it. Never thought I'd be doing jazz, but it's so
cool.
awesome. And to answer your question, right now I love doing jazz because it's like so fresh and it was so much fun. But I also, did the Rod's last record and Feinstein record and a ton of metal records and country records. And so my favorite thing, to answer your question, is at the early level when the song is just an idea. And from that point to when you're layering the tracking and you're just watching this thing go from essentially nothing. It's like watching a seed grow and watching it become something and then having full control over it and steering it. Go, what if it's kind of like cooking. I love to cook. So does she. So it's kind of like, you start with something and you add a little spice and you add a little of this. Next thing you know, that's great. And then you're able to finally serve it to people. And sometimes they go, this is the best thing I've ever heard. And sometimes they go, ugh, that was awful. but regardless, you're creating every day and it's just amazing.
To get in to get into that frame of mind and being able to step into the studio. I know this is, probably nothing compared to what you have, but there's times that I just love to come down here. And I do a lot of voiceover and stuff for the radio station. And instead of doing this, I'd rather be in front of that computer on the other side of the room in my Pro Tools. And
you got Pro Tools?
I've got Pro Tools and Adobe.
Right on, brother.
Yeah.
I'm in Pro Tools every day.
Yeah, I might need some lessons. Because there's a lot to learn and do it. And, I love it. I'll sit down here for hours. Sometimes they have to come down and check on me.
I actually did teach Pro Tools at TC3, the community college in Dryden. Yeah.
Very
for
cool.
A few years.
Yeah. Are you doing any teaching now?
No time. I'd love to.
Yeah. How many hours do you think you put in the studio every day?
A lot.
A lot, yeah. And it's probably easier when Jody's on the road,
I'm
though.
gone.
Yeah, because, my wife travels she works for SUNY, and she travels, and when she's gone, I can...
I can attest to the fact that I manage the western half of the country in my
Lord.
team.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the West Coast a lot, and, I'll be 3 hours earlier, and he's working. I'm like, I'm signing out. It's 10 o'clock at night on the West Coast. And he's like, well, I'm still going.
So that means it's 1 o'clock in the morning,
and he's going to keep going.
Usually when she's gone, it's 1, 2, or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, but that's when you work your best.
Yeah.
Right?
But I start at 8 in the morning. So
oh, okay. Maybe it's not.
Go.
It's a lot of coffee or a lot of beverage.
A lot of coffee.
Just whatever,
And I do have a bar in the studio, too.
Yeah,
so
that works.
when
That
the
works.
clock ticks
So
over.
there's times I come home and I'm like, you really need to go shave and shower. Get out of the studio.
I've been there.
Start to look like a hobo.
It's the hobo.
Yeah, but why not? When you're in your own world and you're just doing your own thing, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see you. Nobody's going to...
well, I don't know.
I don't know, unless he's got, you're doing a session
over,
or something, right?
Yeah. A lot of the sessions I do, other than, when I'm, working with up-and-coming artists where I'm doing actually artist development from this area, most of my sessions are with people from somewhere else.
Now, do they actually stop in, or are you doing it via, through the computer?
The regional stuff, I bring them in because, like with John Guy and the other people.
Yeah, I get that.
I need to have them in the room and really just really work with them. But the guys from around the world, it's just, we call them stems. You just throw stems back and forth.
Right.
So I'll wake up in the morning and boom, there's this email with all these tracks, and I pull them in.
Put them together for me. And,
Yeah. I'm either mixing it or adding a vocal or playing a guitar.
and you don't do that for free.
No.
Okay.
No.
Just saying that's a lot of work.
That's his job.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, it depends on who you are.
Now, you're saying you're doing jazz.
Yeah.
You've done techno or electronic or...
I have done some EDM, but
okay.
I'm not great at it.
What
That's
I
its
mean,
own
but
thing.
country is your thing, right? Or am I wrong?
Actually,
I'm playing these clips.
I'm a
off
country
of YouTube.
rock guy.
You
myself
are.
as an
I love
artist.
it. I love it. I love it.
10 Man Push is a rock band.
Yes, I saw it. I can see if I can find a video here for them. I know.
So how many artists are you working with right now in your artist development category?
Artist development, I try to keep that so I can focus on just one or two at a time. I have two right
I
now.
thought you were going to say I have 4.
I always got my ears. So if there's somebody watching that you have somebody who you really think has, I'd be happy to talk to them. But
Like it.
I like it.
This is 10 Man Push with Lonnie Park. Let's give it a listen for a minute.
About a cord of wood piled way up high. Nice cold 30 rack sitting on ice. I brought my
like it.
old guitar to play for
It's Johnny
all
West
my
right there.
friends. Gonna fall in love before this party ends. Out here, there ain't no last call.
All right, I got to ask.
yeah,
The videos, the music videos that you have, and you can go on YouTube and just if you search Lonnie Park or 10 Man Push, I mean these are all professionally done, big time for the most part, right?
Are you filming for him?
No. No.
Just asking.
well, big shout out. First of all, there's a friend of ours, Mark Behrens, in California.
Okay.
When 10 Man Push was just starting, pre-Grammy stuff, anything super exciting, I guess. Done a bunch of records, but nothing that really put you on the map. So 10 Man Push was formed. We ended up becoming the official band of motocross. One of our songs ended up as a theme song for motocross. And so they asked us to be the official band and tour with the motocross circuit, which is 20, 30,000 people per event.
No
That's
kidding.
awesome.
So we start doing that. We get out to California and we meet this photographer that just basically is taking band shots. A friend of ours was like, come over and have Mark do your shots. He did our shots, developed a great relationship, another super sweetheart of a guy. And then he started to get into video and he applied the same principles that he did with photography. He was a brilliant photographer. And he applied that same kind of thing to video. So the lighting is just right and that imagery is really cool. So he started doing our music videos and he's done like a half a dozen of our videos. They all look great.
I'm watching this 10 Man Push Rockin' the Country.
That was
Look it up
Northern
on
California.
YouTube.
So do you have to go out to California to do your videos whenever you need to?
He also traveled. We just went to Salt Lake
Yeah.
and shot a video in Salt Lake with our friend that plays flute. We did a cover of Sting's song Fragile. And I played it for Mark and he just absolutely loved it. And Voter, the guy from South Africa, was like, we need to shoot a music video for this. And I was talking to Mark at the time, like, hey, Mark, where are you going to be in the next month? He's like, well, I'm going to be in Salt Lake. So I hit up Voter and he's like, we'll fly in. So we flew in from South Africa. We flew in from New York. We went to the Salt Flats and shot this music video. They actually brought a piano out and stuck it in the middle of the Salt Flats. And the Salt Flats had like 4 to 6 inches of water all through it. It was freezing cold. But this piano is in the middle of this water. And it's just stunning, the imagery.
Really? They had to be so cool.
Yeah. That
Really?
video's not out yet, but
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Oh, wait. You
no,
just
it's going to be
wait.
awesome.
I can't wait. You'll have to let me know when that comes out. We'll have to share it. So it's cool. So the videos come out. The music is great, whether you're with 10 Man Push or Lonnie Park. What about have you been approached by any of the major labels? I mean, we're talking, no?
No, they don't do a lot
Or
of
maybe,
approaching these
well,
days.
I know they don't, but you're on about, or they're always looking for producers. They're always looking for, of course, new artists. But
A lot
all
of
due
that.
respect, I don't think I consider you a new artist. I think you're a well-established professional in what you do. It's just,
Right.
and you're not wearing a short skirt. And then sometimes these, I hate to say it, but I mean, we need to get more females on the radio when it comes to the format. I
Completely
get
agree.
that, but sometimes they're not thinking about the music. I don't mean that.
I
Never
know what
mind.
you're trying to say. It's just not coming out right.
It's
Right.
not
No, I
coming
get
out
it.
right.
I get
It's
it.
not coming out right.
But,
Everybody should be judged on their skill sets. I think
Exactly.
is
Thank
what
you.
you're trying to say.
These guys are so well spoken. I suck
So
tonight.
circling back to the question,
Yeah.
I think it was you were asking if he's ever been. You're not
Yes.
approached by.
I've worked with some major labels, but not as an artist myself. And I haven't really pursued it. I just make music every day. That's part of the problem with being really busy too, is people have a lot of great ideas of what you should be doing. But when you're working 12, 16 hours a day in the studio and just making music all day, every day,
Right.
or touring, you don't, sometimes you can't market yourself very well.
So you're making music. So you're actually writing for other people, of course.
Yep.
So
Writing and producing and everything. One day I may be a piano player on a project. One day I might be mixing a project. One I might be producing or writing for it or singing.
you don't
on it.
even have to
amazing.
look for this stuff anymore.
amazing.
People are coming to you.
Right.
I
right,
have a
but-
job that needs to be done. I'd like you to do it, basically.
Yeah. And I say yes to almost everything because, it's a fickle business and you
I-
take what you can get.
Absolutely.
You got bills to pay.
Absolutely.
Have you been asked to go on the road with anybody? Like we need a keyboard player. We need.
Yeah. But again, the way you do that best is and we've talked about it, is if we lived in Nashville,
Right.
you must be present to win. Nashville is where you can
That's true.
just, if you need a guitar player, you just go, boom, I got one.
Yeah.
So they're not going to call the guy from Freeville.
Right. Well,
And that's
no, you're right because you're here and not there. I
Right.
get it.
now the people that I do work with, for example, Ricky Cage,
Right.
I'm touring with him quite a bit all over the world. And
It's awesome.
so that is a situation, but that's outside of, that the country scene itself is like its own planet. The entire music industry is this massive thing, but country is not only segmented like a genre, but it's also like in its own bubble.
It is.
It is.
You know,
so true.
Now I'm
So
in
true.
that bubble, but a huge part of my work is outside of that bubble. And I tour plenty there, but if you want to tour with somebody in that bubble, you got to be in the bubble. So, I'd have to be sitting in Nashville and
Jason Teska plays on Broadway a lot, Tootsie's. Usually when I go down for seminar, swinging at Tootsie's to say hello. If he's not there, he's usually on the road with somebody because somebody needed a guitar player.
Oh, yeah.
But when he's not on the road, he's just, working for tips at Tootsie's.
oh yeah,
So,
I think we saw him, didn't we?
Yeah.
did you see him?
I've known Jason for
Yeah.
years and years.
I love
and
the Back
years,
Alley
from the
Boys.
Back Alley Boy days.
Ron Thompson.
Ron Thompson,
Oh
Terry
my gosh.
Quill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what a just
What a great
great
group.
lot of great memories, and what a great group. And I can remember back in the day when I worked for another radio station, we used to have a big we called a B Jam at the fairgrounds. And the early days of the Back Alley Boys, they would always open up. And I remember Ron Thompson's drum kit and the plexiglass all around it and everything to for the sound. And they were just so amazing, so amazing.
Each individually so talented.
Yes.
You can't bring them together, and they were just phenomenal.
Is there ever a time, Lonnie, that you go, Jody, I need you to come downstairs and listen to this. Let me know what you think.
More than ever, yeah, a lot.
And then you get, look, I'm doing the dishes. I can't right now. Give me a few minutes.
yeah, there's a lot.
God,
of
I
that.
can't be everywhere at once. I know.
I
Just
know.
saying.
I know. It's now when
That's the
there's
crazy side of me coming out.
there's two doors.
Okay.
that basically, if they're closed, it's soundproof. You don't hear stuff on the other side.
Good.
But I'm occasionally guilty of leaving the doors open. And some days I'm working, and I'll be working along, and all of a sudden I hear ka-chunk. That means she's good. She doesn't need to hear. So I'm like, well, whatever I'm doing, she's not loving it.
Yeah, the same repeat of the same 10 seconds of a track.
Well, you got to
64
do that
times.
because you're trying to match it up just right. And you're trying to hear a certain sound that it's like, why am I hearing that click? Where's that coming from? Am I right or wrong?
All day, every day.
Yeah, and you just keep playing that same 10 seconds over to figure what's wrong with this.
Then you move on to the next 10 seconds.
And then
you get to the end, you start
by
over.
that time you're 12 hours into it.
Exactly.
And it's crazy.
But I know that I'm onto something kind of cool when she actually comes in and she goes, "What is that you're working on?" And there's been a few. One of the times, I can't say who right now, but one of those times was one of the artist development girls that I was working with, and she's now a good way through the audition process for The Voice. She's got a
Very
good shot
cool.
of being on
Well,
that. So
good luck.
Yeah,
Yes.
I hope she does well. But that was one where she had come in halfway through the day, and she's like, "Wow, what is going on in here? This is awesome." So, because I'm so close to it, it's like watching a kid grow up. You don't necessarily know, but when her ears perk up, I know something's good.
Seems like most of your life is, you're 20 hours out of a day in front of a computer or in your studio. But what do you do for fun? I mean, I know you're traveling a lot. I get that. And that's pretty exciting in itself. But you're also working. But what is there ever a time, and what is it that you guys do that, you know what, I'm just going to leave it, put it all aside for now. We just need to get away from it for a day.
She's a country girl, grew up on a horse farm. I am a complete redneck.
Love it.
Gun-toting, four-wheeler driving.
Oh, dude, I saw the
driving.
truck in the parking lot, my parking lot, my driveway.
So for us,
I love it.
Once you get, all you got to do is get me on the outside of that door, and I'm good. I can
Getting away from it.
Yeah. I can go in the woods and not come back. And it's just, that's what
I go in the woods, I get lost.
Yeah, we do a lot of hiking. In fact, when we were in LA last week, we actually took some of our friends that hadn't been yet with us, and we went hiking up in Runyon Canyon, which is one of my favorite hikes to do up there in North Hollywood. We're runners.
Very
and
cool.
I got him into running, and now he's a better runner, which
But you got to be careful with your back, right? Don't you? Okay.
He's
All right, we're good.
Teach it who's boss.
He's now faster, and he tends to get ahead of me, and then
That's awesome,
I might
though.
say
Good
that
for you guys.
he's a little bit mocking about how long it takes me to catch up. Yeah, there might be some curse words back there.
But now she thinks we're going to do a half marathon.
I was just going to add, you took it right on. Yeah, you're going to do the half marathon.
Yes.
And where's that?
In Ithaca.
In Ithaca.
Yes.
Cool. And I heard they're doing something with the harbor down there, or the water.
Oh,
Yes.
they're doing a bunch.
Yeah.
And almost like what they've created a great thing here in Syracuse with the Inner Harbor. Yep. Now I hear they're doing something in Ithaca with that. So that's
it's
cool.
already in full swing. A lot of construction going on.
That's cool. Wow.
So
Good place to live.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's a great place to live.
Yeah, I love it. I used to go down and MC the Special Olympics polar plunge down there, right on the Neoga River.
Yeah.
Something like
Well
that.
said.
And so the drive in the morning was absolutely beautiful. And driving up, I don't know whatever road it is, but you got the gorge on one side, and and I'm getting to the park. It's absolutely beautiful. Crazy.
Are you guys out in the country
Yeah.
area?
Absolutely.
Have you
Our
ever?
nearest neighbor's about a mile away.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So have you ever thought is that like where you want to stay, or do you thinking that someday you might want to leave that area?
I don't think we'll leave. We're talking about
Place.
We're talking about buying a house in Nashville. We've been talking about it for 3 years now.
Do it.
But we plan on doing it. It's just we've been so busy. We're like, when are we going to even go shopping for a house? But we still intend to do that. But not at the loss of our current house.
Right.
It took us 3 years to build our house.
Right.
Converted a barn. into
Very
a
cool.
house, and then did the addition for the studio. And
There's something about being away from the
It's
world,
amazing.
though, too.
it's amazing.
Which is
See,
what
I
I love
would
about
love
the
that.
cabin.
If we go any further away from the mall, my wife would be upset because we'll go somewhere and we'll be driving like, I don't know, on this back road, and there's a house, another mile, there's another house. I go, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine living out here? And you get, no.
Well, it's
No.
not for everybody.
Do you know? I mean, if I got to go get groceries, I'll be gone half the day,
Yeah.
or
Well,
whatever. But
I've lived in major cities and spent a lot of time in major cities, and
Yeah.
there is something to be said for needing something and being able to get it like that.
that is true.
And
That is
getting
true. I
delivered.
get
Nobody delivers where we live. So, you're cooking
Not
for
too
yourself,
many
which is
pizza
fine.
deliveries, yeah.
Yeah.
it. Or they
That's
get
my
that extra
problem.
charge.
I do understand
Yeah.
needing to be close to things.
Yeah.
It's just
No, I
for
get
me
it.
that
I get it.
the other part way outweighs the convenience of
Well, and I
living
think
close.
you add the fact that we're both so busy traveling all the time that it's nice to have that serenity when you're home, and you just kind of have that quiet. And in the mornings, you have your coffee and you're looking at the turkey and the deer.
Yeah.
Oh my
that
God,
is-
that's
You
so
know, dogs
cool.
are running around the backyard, and it's just.
My sister has a place like that. You
Can't
can
beat
sit
that.
out back
Yeah.
and just watch the deer.
I love
They'll
it.
come walking right through the backyard, and it's absolutely beautiful. Lonnie, I have to ask you, is there a particular, I mean, there's so many different songs that you have, but is there one that really sticks out for you? Something that you've done?
And
Just
I mean, Make Your Mama Proud is one of those that's really personal.
Yeah.
I've played that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I played that twice recently.
Yeah.
Once was during a show that I did with Peter Yarrow. My dad was in the hospital. And so there were 400 people at that show, sold out, beautiful little intimate theater in Homer.
Okay.
Center for the Arts. Beautiful place.
Yes. Know it.
I was just there for the first time.
So we did that show, and I talked to my dad before the show on the phone. He was in the hospital. I'm like, Dad, I got 400 people here. We're going to get 400 people to pray for you tonight. So,
man.
And my dad was like super, super spiritual. And
Yeah.
so
That's
he
so
just,
awesome.
that was such an encouragement to him. And of course, I said that on stage and said, before I do this song, I want y'all to know, I just spoke to my dad and I told him, I got 400 people here that could throw a prayer up for you. So that made him feel good. And then the second time was after he had passed, which was a few months ago. When we were in LA, I played it. And talk about nerves again. Here I am. It was a showcase for independent musicians. So the audience was at least half independent musicians. And the other were fans of the specific musicians. And when I played that song this time, man, was I nervous. It's just like my hands were shaking. And I'm like, man, I just played in India to a ton of people.
Right. And you're 80,000 now is fine. But it's a good example of what we talked about a little bit ago,
But anyway, that song is
People
very
that you work
personal.
with.
That's
I would
one of
say
those
from an
songs that-
outsider's perspective, looking in, it's definitely that song. Because I remember the day that I showed up, and it was early on in us actually dating, and you wrote it, and you just couldn't wait to play it for me. You couldn't wait. You're like, you have to hear this song. And you can't listen to it and not get choked up. And in the indie collab, it's the first time I've heard him not be able to hit certain notes because his dad has recently passed away.
Yeah.
Still very fresh and raw, and it just means that much more.
And it's, other than killing my mother off, it's a real story. So the
You had to say that.
The first time I sang in front of a serious crowd, I was 5 years old, and it was at church. And my mom wanted me to sing it, my dad wanted me to sing it. So, I was this tall, and the pulpit's this tall. So my dad goes back behind the pulpit and grabs one of those chairs and slides it up behind the pulpit, which I'm singing about right now.
Yeah.
Picked me up and set me on that. And I was nervous as you could possibly be. And that was the first time I sang. And he was very encouraging and then stepped back and let me do it. And what's kind of cool is the rest of the song is real. I mean, that's until, again, I kill my mother off at the end for effect. But the rest of it's absolutely true. And after my dad passed, which is recently, my mother has now downsized. And she had these two chairs in the house. And I looked at those two chairs and I said, those are from the church, aren't they? She's like, yeah, when the church moved, we got those chairs. I'm like, that's the chair that so now,
That
Oh
chair's
my
in your
gosh.
house.
3 days ago, I moved those chairs into my studio.
Yeah,
It's
really- it's like-
absolutely.
So
Wow.
anyway, so I guess for all those personal reasons, that song, it may not be the best song I've ever written in my life, but it's probably one of the most personal.
I'm finding myself,
Great song.
like Deb said, she listened to it 3 or 4 times before she came over here tonight. And of course, I was playing all the music earlier. My son was getting such a big kick out of the music. He just loves it. He's huge into music, all different genres. But and if you're a musician, he'll love you for life. He will never forget you now that you've met him.
That's great.
He'll say, Dad, where's Lonnie? You'll say that every day.
This is, to me, one of those songs that when you hear it for the first time, you instant love for
Instantly
it, which
connect.
is why I played it several times before. I mean, I was like, wow, this is a great song. And I just played it over and over while I was getting myself ready. I just kept listening to it. So it hits. It really hits. It's a
Now,
Great.
in the
piano?
rock scene,
Who's
what's that?
piano?
Who's
I'm
actual
watching
piano?
they can't see this,
that,
but the
that piano's
piano.
in Northern California.
Is it? Okay, that's where this was.
And that's
shot.
actually
I
at
gotcha.
a neurosurgeon's house.
oh,
So when
Knows
he was,
everybody.
he has got
He's
connections.
got connections.
I'm coming to you
I
when
didn't
I
know
need
that.
something.
the Swansons, they're wonderful
Amazing
people.
Yeah.
But when Mark Behrens was scouting locations for the video, he was like, we need a grand piano. And somebody said, I know somebody that's got one. And it was the surgeon. We ended up at this beautiful
bet.
house in
I
Northern
bet.
California.
Very cool.
They opened their house to us, and we shot this video right in their house.
They were so amazing.
You don't mind if I put the links
Oh, please. Yeah.
on the.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear this, and they
So,
need to see it.
In answer to your question, now to go jump genres, two genres. In the rock world, 10 Man Push, we had 2 records out. The song In the Dirt's the one that put us on the map, and most of the motocross guys know that. But there's a song called Big, which was that's probably my favorite rock song, 10 Man Push song
Yeah, we could
Mine
find
too.
that.
we've done. Yeah. So
It's just
that was
so
a lot of
catchy.
fun.
You can't not like it. You can't
Well, I
not
love the other
it.
song I heard for 10 seconds. So I'll be going back and playing that tonight.
That's how I
too.
listen to music.
Holy
I'm like,
crap.
okay,
Right.
next.
Let's
No,
go.
I'm just.
So-
it's called Big.
While you're looking for that, can you, what got you into the whole music world? Because you said you got up and you sang for the first time when you were 5 and you were scared to death. So
Well,
all of a sudden,
So I was raised in I guess all you can really say is like a super dedicated Christian core family. Then, so I went to a Baptist school. We were in church more
All the
than we were
time.
home.
Yep.
And it was 7 days a week. It was like all the time. So part of our life was just you sing. And we didn't think anything. I thought it was normal. I thought everybody sang all day. And my mother played the piano, and we'd go to church and we'd sing, and then you'd get bored of the song, so you'd sing harmony, and that's by the time I actually got into the music business, I had already been essentially doing music for a lot of years.
but to decide to go into the business versus I enjoy singing and I'm just going to sing for.
I remember, the day the
it's
light
like
bulb came on.
Yeah, the day the light bulb came on. Yeah.
I was a friend of mine, Kevin Hicks, who's now an independent filmmaker, and I just scored a movie for him, which was fun. At the time, he was a songwriter and musician. We were 17 or 16. And I was just this guy that sang at church. And he asked me if I would like to work with him. And next thing, all of a sudden I went, oh, you can do that. You can,
I can make a living.
I
out of
guess wherever these songs came from, somebody wrote them. Why not me? And the light bulb came on.
And you were only 16 or 17 at
Yeah.
that time. So
And I
Such
went,
talent.
oh, you could actually pick this as a job? Yeah.
And he hasn't looked back.
Yeah.
It's been like this forever.
Yeah, very nice.
That is, what a great story. What a great story. This is the,
Red guy with a giant 60-foot.
Oh, yeah, big.
this is big.
That's footage from when we were on tour.
10-man push. We are in Weed,
Oh.
What'd you do?
No. That's Lonnie talking about everybody. He's telling everybody where they are.
Weed, California, that's a real town, by the way.
My God, you do look like Keith Urban.
Without the hat, yeah.
Yes. And the hair.
Doesn't get me any like status bumps on the planes or anything.
I'm going to play this for a second, so hold on. Here we go. It's 10-man push, and it's called Big.
I will lead if it's follow. Right here and right now. Going big, I was going home. Right here, right now. A little bit genius, a little bit tough. Fire in your eye and a perfect touch. We're not ever looking back. It's big.
Wow.
It's like a rough.
You know what I like about that? You can almost predict the next line, which makes it a great song because you'll catch on quick, and that's you. Does that hurt your throat? I mean, you're like, it's good. No, I mean, you're really getting into it. But here again, it shows how talented Lonnie Park is because you can go from a country tune, a nice ballad that we want to listen to over and over and over again, to a slamming 10-man push big, and that is awesome.
Thanks.
I could picture myself in that crowd. Or wait a minute.
Those are so much fun, all those shows.
But yeah, that is
Still
cool.
love playing with those guys.
It Skip Happens tonight. We've been chatting with Lonnie Park, and we're just about out of time. But Lonnie, very well-known author, producer, singer, songwriter. I can go on through this whole list, and we're so lucky to have such talent. Not only him, but he helps a lot of our local talent, and we are just so blessed with great talent.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm glad we made it work because we had been
You
talking.
yourself are a legend, so for me, it's an honor to
Look,
be
I
here.
can't even talk straight anymore. I need to retire. I'm like,
Well, it's a podcast. You don't have to.
No, you don't. You can say whatever the hell you want. You can tell everybody to fuck off if they want. You can say
Exactly.
this, you
Go
can
back
say
and
all this
tell
other
you're
stuff.
gonna get-
You can't. I know. No, really, I'm just saying.
Where's the beep button?
Yeah.
Oh no, we don't need to worry about that. That's the cool thing, and that's why I had the lawyer on the other night, and
Gotcha.
I'm not going to repeat that. But I know, so I'm just getting a laugh. But no, seriously, and this is like, I'll never retire, even if I'm not on the radio any longer. I'm never going to retire because, as you can see, I can come down those 6 steps.
That's right. Do
I
what
can
you
come
do.
down in my boxers in the morning.
Please don't turn the camera on.
No, will not. Lonnie Park, you may have seen him at the Sammys. You're going to go this year, or no? You just
Oh,
kind of
definitely. Got to support our boy.
Yes. Oh, that's right, John. And it was such a thrill because I was part of the press conference, and I read the nominations for Best Country. When I saw his name come up, and I went,
cool.
I thought about you, and I thought about John. I go, John
And
wouldn't
London
be here without him.
McDaniel's in there for
Yes.
jazz and a bunch of other great.
Oh, my God.
Syracuse, that honestly, I know we're almost out of time, but the Sammys is a wonderful thing. It is an inspiration to make everybody work harder in this area.
Yep.
There's something to work towards. So
It's March
my
5th
hat's
and
off to you.
6th. And the 5th at the Dinosaur upstairs, and the 6th it'll be at the Palace Theater for the award ceremony. So that is
We'll be
very
there.
cool. Yeah, very cool. Lonnie Park, everybody, and if you follow Skip Happens, so make sure you check out the links. I'll put them down below, and check out some of the videos. If you can't wait, you can go on YouTube and search Lonnie Park, search 10 Man Push,
Yep.
and don't
search
forget
Ricky Cage and KEJ
Yes.
because there's some cool stuff in there too.
Oh, that is so awesome. I'll be on that too. So, because I live for this stuff. It's crazy. But also Deb Lamphere, the president of the official country music fan club, with us here tonight.
Thank you.
Lonnie, thank you again. I know you got a little bit of a drive ahead of you, but thank you for taking the time, and hopefully you get home before any of the bad weather hits. And
Thank you.
Glad Jody was able to join us. She
Yes.
was a little
Thanks for
debating
having
at
me.
first.
how was
so-
your flight?
It was a little weary traveler. It was Atlanta had some weather too, so we
Yeah.
kind of hovered.
But that's the
and then-
nonstop, right?
Well, I came in from Phoenix.
Okay.
So
well, you went Phoenix to Atlanta,
to
but
Atlanta to
Atlanta to
Syracuse,
Syracuse. Yeah. I've been on that nonstop.
So before we do run out of time, one last shout out to the guy that started all this for me, and he may be
Yes.
watching from Singapore.
Oh,
His name is Arun Shenoy. I'm doing the jazz record with him right now, and it's coming out amazing. So Arun, thank
Awesome.
you for everything you're
awesome.
doing as well.
What's
I'm
the time
actually kind of
difference?
getting into jazz a little bit now because my daughter's interning at a jazz
Oh, yeah.
station in Rochester, so she's got us listening here and there. And
Ooh, I'll
I'm
send
like,
you some
oh,
links.
this is
Maybe we can
kinda
get some
nice.
spins on there.
Absolutely.
There you go.
New
See,
experiences.
there's
It's
another
great.
connection.
Right on.
So
Keep making those connections. All right, it's Lonnie Park, everybody. It's what I always do at the end, a little high five, dude.
Right on, man.
All right, there you go.
night.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
here we go.
Thank
It's Skip
you.
Happens.
good night.